It is get it's your boys. I'm back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we're gonna be doing a tier list of the top shooting guards in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM. Now, when I look at the shooting guard list, again, I'm not going to hate on anybody here. I think it's pretty top heavy. Obviously, we got a little over 50 guys here, and I do think it's top heavy. I'd be lying to say it's not. But I think there are a lot of average guys, solid guys that can compete at that highest level as well. So that's just kind of my initial opinion. But if you're wanting, those top shooting guards in the game, I'll break it down, but I do think there's only a couple of those guys. Starting with a guy that I think can compete at a decent level is Diamond Alex English. And I'm not trying to sit here and sugarcoat it because the card is definitely not perfect. But when you're talking about just the complete shooting guard of my team, Alex English is exactly that. So what is there not to like about Alex English? Well, he's got the Carmelo Anthony base, but it's only on normal timing. Carmelo Anthony does have it on quick. Alex English is 6'8", though, probably going to play lanes really well for you. And when I'm just looking at the overall card, I think he's really solid. He was available for free as well. So I've got a little bit of that free card bias to go for as well. Alex English, I think at C tier is the perfect spot. I think that's exactly where he belongs to start it off today. Pink Diamond, Klay Thompson up next. I think I've got to go A tier with Klay Thompson. Look, as far as the 3-and-D shooting guard, is he the best in the game? No. But part of the reason is because he came out a month and a half ago, and there are just cards that have slowly surpassed him. But I'm still a big fan of Klay. Can move decent, can dunk the ball well, plays a lot of defense, obviously shooting-wise. For Klay, he's going to be one of the best shooters in the game, always. I mean, it's Klay Thompson, and his release this year isn't bad either. Movement-wise, is he as good as he once was in 2K22? No, I mean, he's not quite that good, but he's still solid enough that, he's not a liability movement-wise. Can he be your primary ball handler? No. Can he be your secondary ball handler? Absolutely. Pink Diamond Klay, really solid. I think splitting the middle, we got to go Pink Diamond Kyle Korver. Now, here's the deal with Korver. If you want a card for offline modes, Korver's your guy. There's not going to be a guy in offline modes that's going to shoot the ball better than Kyle Korver. And that's not me, sugarcoating thing. That's just me being completely honest with you. As far as a pure sharpshooter, Kyle Korver is going to be the absolute very best at what he does. Now, with that being said, does that mean he's the best shooting guard in the game? No, because he can't really make plays. As far as his defense, it's not great either. B tier is where Kyle Korver does belong. Alex Caruso at this stage, I think I've got to go D tier. Look, for a budget card, the card is still usable. He's still serviceable. I mean, he's not going to go out there and just be an absolute bum on the court. But it just comes down to this. Offensively, he just leaves a lot to be desired. Defensively, he's still really solid. I mean, when you look at Alex Caruso's defense, there's not going to be a ton of Hall of Fame badges. But if you look at his lateral quickness, his speed, and just the overall total badges, he's going to be able to get the job done at a high level. JayCanada up next. I'm going to go B tier. I feel like Iggy's release is a little slow, and that's kind of the problem with the card. But dunking wise, gonna be elite, gonna dunk on anything and everything. Defensively, obviously, we all know Iggy's going to be elite as well. Just comes down to the fact that release, I just wish was a little bit quicker. Ant-Man Anthony Edwards up next. I'm gonna go D tier, and this is coming from a Timberwolves fan, guys. I should be the one, if anybody, that likes Anthony Edwards. I should be the one, if anybody, that supports what Ant gets into. I just can't this year. Undersized, slow release. What is there for me to really hype up about this Ant card? Not much. He's going in D tier. Asar Thompson up next. I'm gonna go B tier. I use this card, but part of the reason I'm using him is just because I got him, I think, out of an equal chance pack, maybe out of a deluxe pack. I don't know. Somehow I got Asar Thompson for free, and I've been using him since. Obviously, Asar gets way better with the duo with Amen, but it's just not worth running the card. Release slow. Low 3-ball. It's just not a great option is Asar Thompson. He's fine, but not great. Austin Reeves up next. I think I'm going to go C tier. If you run the duo with Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves gets way, way, way better. He's still tough to guard because he's got the DeBo dribble style. He's got the Pro 2 leaner, which is cheesy as well. Austin Reeves is really good at what he does. That is offensively on that end of the court. The problem with Austin Reeves is can't play point guard. He is undersized at the 2, and defensively holds you back. Koulibaly up next. I think is C tier the right spot? I don't think this card is horrible. I think D tier is probably the right spot though. It's just tough. I think C tier is where I want to put him, but it's like I think Alex English then deserves B tier. Is this what I want to do? I don't know. I think he's definitely better than Ant though, and so I think this is where I want to go, but it's just tough. He's an emerald, really cheap, but he's going to go in the court and be solid enough for you guys. Bogdanovic up next. I mean, he's gonna shoot the ball well, but if I'm putting him over D tier, I'd be gassing it. And again, I'm not trying to hate on Bogey, because again, for a free card, he can go out there and in offline modes absolutely get the job done, but I do think the card is D tier. Brandon Miller up next, a card I really do like. I think I've got to go C tier though with Brandon Miller, and this is really where I don't like my tier list at all, because it's like, I mean, am I gonna have is this what I want to do and then move maybe Corver up? Because I want to put Brandon Miller at B tier is really what I want to do. Is this what I want to do? Because I do think Corver is better than Asar Thompson. I think he's better than, you know, Brandon Miller, Iggy, and Alex English. If nothing more, just because of that release and easiness to use. I think I like this that little bit more. We just might have a lot of players at S tier. Brandon Roy at this stage, I mean, come on, guys. At this stage, Diamond Brandon Roy isn't doing a whole lot for us on the court now, is he? Now, I think C tier is still where he belongs, where, you know, you can still use him, but it just comes down to, like, are we really still hyping up Brandon Roy when we're in the middle of February and he came out in season 1? Just don't think I can do that. Caleb Houston up next. I honestly, I think Caleb Houston's better than Brandon Roy. Compare their stats too. I think you guys are going to see the exact same thing. Now, is Caleb Houston as good as Asar Thompson? No. And I think that's where things get tough. Maybe I want to go like this, Asar and Iggy in A tier. I don't know. It's really tough for me to do this tier list right now. We're going to have to move some guys around. But for now, this is where I've got the guys. Chris Mullin at this stage, I'm not a big Chris Mullin fan. And if you want to know why, they don't change any of his SIGs. His SIGs aren't good. I know he's going to shoot the ball well. But outside of that, Chris Mullin does really not give you a whole lot on the court. And so, I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, Ty, you know, he's fine, he's this, he's that. Look, I get all that. But at the end of the day, guys, until they change the SIGs of Chris Mullin, I can only be so high on the card. Clyde Drexler up next. I really like Clyde. I think A tier is where he belongs. Again, I might have to move some guys down when I get to these top guys. But for now, looks like we've got a lot of garbage men in my team. Clyde, better than DeRozan. DeRozan, I'm going B tier. I do not care. You guys can gas DeRozan to the moon. He's behind the Pyramid of Power set, which is one of the worst value things in maybe the history of my team. And you want me to sit there and hype him up? No, I'm absolutely not doing it. I refuse to do it. I'm sorry. It's just not me. If somebody's going to be a horrible value like he is in the Pyramid of Power, I'm not going to be one to hype him up. Even if he is okay, even if he maybe deserves A tier, I'm not going to be the one to give it to him. I'm not, because I do not support 2K hiding him behind the Pyramid of Power. Desmond Bane's not horrible, but again, another card that I do think is B tier. When D-Bane came out, there were some people that hyped him up, and I get it, right? Offensively, he is still really solid, no doubt about it. But on the defensive end of the court, he's only 6'4". He just leaves a lot to be desired on that end, and so it's hard for me to put him at, any higher than B tier. I don't hate Desmond Bane. I actually think the card's solid, but even when you compare him like defensively to Asar, it's night and day difference. Dominique Wilkins at this stage, C tier. I mean, he still is 6'8", so he still does give you guys that on the court. But outside of that, outside of his length, I mean, just doesn't do a whole lot on the court for you guys. Not a great release. Movement-wise, not great. Dominique Wilkins, C tier. Drazen up next. I'm going D tier. I do not care. That release is unusable. And there's not that many, what I would call unusable releases in my team. There's not. That Drazen release is one of them, though. I'm sorry for anyone that went and got Drazen. I apologize. Salary cap reward. The card is a absolute bona fide scrub. Franz Wagner, B tier. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. With the duo, I'd even argue A tier. Obviously, without the duo, like in this video, I can't put him at A tier. But I do think, with the duo, easy addition into A tier. I love Franz Wagner. If you want a guy to hype up Franz, you will not find anybody else hyping him up more than me. I absolutely love the card. He's been a staple of the Nobody Spent Squad series thus far. Garvin up next. I think I got to go C tier. I don't hate Garvin. Did some challenges with him. His release is interesting. I don't even think it's crazy bad. It's obviously not good, but I don't think it's like unusable or anything like that. I just don't think, you know, it's great. He's still gonna attack the rim well, play decent defense. He's a decent free card is what you need to know. He's a free card, so 2K's not gonna juice him up too much, but he is a decent free card at that. Gordon Hayward at this stage, I mean, I guess I'll throw him at C tier. Just not the biggest fan of him. I know his length is solid, but his SIGs aren't great. At the shooting guard position, not gonna make a ton of plays for you. Harold Miner, also gonna throw him at C tier. I think Caleb Houston, Brandon Miller, Franz Wagner, if you're looking for rubies, are all better than Harold Miner. J.R. Smith at this point, D tier. I'm sorry, it's just his release isn't great. There's just dribble SIGs aren't good enough to hype the card up. There's just nothing that I can even get behind really with J.R. Smith in my team. James Jones, gonna shoot the ball well, but I think I gotta go C tier. I know he's long, I know he's lengthy, I know he's gonna shoot the ball well with the smooth release, but his defense, in my opinion, is not good enough to even compare him or hype him up as much as Brandon Miller, Franz Wagner. Jaylen Brown up next, easy addition into... I'm going to go S tier. We're just going to have, again, until I move some people around, I got to put him at S tier. I can't have Clay there and not Jaylen Brown there. Jaylen Brown's release is a little slow. Movement-wise, really solid. As far as his defense, really solid. And so it just comes down to how much does that release hurt Jaylen Brown. I think it is way too slow. But, I mean, I use MJ and like the card quite a bit. Jerry Sloan up next. I'm going A tier. It's going to be a lot of people that are mad at me. Todd, Jerry Sloan's actually good. He's collector level. If you want me to gas Jerry Sloan, it's just not gonna happen. I still do think he's A tier, so I'm respecting him enough to put him there, but I just don't love the card. I also feel like I gotta move DeRozan up and Desmond Bane up. I don't want to, but I feel like at least even if you're comparing them to like Iggy, I feel like they are more complete cards. We're gonna have to move some players down though. At least probably. Jimmy Butler, for right now, I'm going to throw him at A tier. And again, I'm going to move some players down, but I need to get some of these top guys in first. Jimmy Bucket's going to play a lot of defense. Obviously, offensively, he's not great because that release is on the slower side of things, but it is good enough that you can use Jimmy and have a ton of success with him. Julian Strawther up next. I like this card. Throw him right in there with the budget rubies that are really solid that can compete. Brandon Miller, Franz Wagner. Strawther can go out there, play some defense, compete offensively. Again, just a complete budget option that we do have in my team. Dr. J, S tier, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Kawhi, A tier. The thing with Kawhi is this. He's going to be one of the best defensive players always in my team. It's because of his defensive stance. Like, nobody has the Kawhi defensive stance, defensive motion style outside of Kawhi. It's what makes him so good. Dr. J, let's talk about him. 6'7", fits that switch all meta, fits switch all concept. Now the deal with Dr. J is this: his release is on normal timing, but it's still super quick and super smooth. Dr. J, easy addition into S tier. Kobe Bryant, S tier, the best shooting guard in the game by a wide margin. And I can hype up Dr. J as much as I want, but compared to a guy like Kobe Bryant, just really no comparison. This Kobe, I guess C tier. I still think Franz, Strawther, and Brandon Miller are all better than Kobe. Now with the duo, you could even argue A tier if you're talking about the duo with Shaq. But without the duo, it's hard for me to hype this Kobe card up too much. Slow-mo, I'm going to go D tier. Like, his release is just unusable. And if you can get past the release, you might be able to hype up Slow-mo. But that release is absolutely horrible. Latrell Sprewell, I mean... what do you want me to sit up here and say? I mean, I can't hype the card up too much. I really can't. I mean, C tier, I guess. He's gonna play some defense. I just don't love him. Beauchamp, B tier, easy addition into B tier. I really like Beauchamp. You could even argue A tier. For me, I'm gonna leave him at B tier, but I'm a big Beauchamp fan in my team. Michael Jordan, right wherever Jaylen Brown is, and it's that simple. Michael Redd, D tier. I do not care. I will take every person at C tier over that pink diamond Michael Redd every day of the week and not hesitate about it. That Michael Redd is a bona fide scrub, man. The upper on that release is literally unusable. I'm sorry for everybody that got Michael Redd that he is so bad. Mike Miller, not use the card. I'm guessing C tier though. Maybe even, I'll put him at B tier, but I really don't know. So put Mike Miller as a question mark because I didn't grind the Pyramid of Power, so I really do not know. Swaggy P, Nick Young, I'll go B tier. Gonna give you a lot of offense. I wish his release was on quick or just a little quicker, but other than that, Swaggy P just fine in my team. Paul George up next. I mean, S tier, easy addition into S tier. And I'm gonna rank these guys how I probably would as it stands right now. But I mean, there's no question about it. Paul George, easy addition into S tier here. Paul Pierce, I mean, he's long, lengthy. I guess I'll give him C tier. Release isn't probably unusable. It's just, he's got Kyrie dribble style. It's just that release holds the card back quite a bit. Peyton Watson, absolutely elite. A tier, no questions asked. Peyton Watson is so good in this game. Easy addition into A tier. RJ Barrett, I think he's solid. I'm going to go B tier for RJ Barrett, but I do think the card is really solid in my team. Definitely a card you can go have fun with and compete at a really high level. Ray Allen, he was never good. I'm throwing him at D tier. He's not what Ray Allen should be. Like, you think of Ray Allen, you think of an absolute sharpshooter in my team. He's not that, man. I know his 3-ball is high, but he is not a sharpshooter. Richard Jefferson up next, and I don't even want to sit here and hate on Richard Jefferson. I don't, because there was a time in 2K when I used Richard Jefferson when nobody else did. I think what would it have been? 2K20, I think was the first year I started playing Comp My Team, right? And Richard Jefferson had that crank it back release. And this year, he's still got the crank it back release. The problem is that he just came out too late. I can't sit there and hype up Richard Jefferson with that crank it back release. He's still not horrible, though. I still think when it comes down to Richard Jefferson, his release is better than Ray Allen. His defense is better than Ray Allen. Release is better than even some of these guys like Chris Mullin. And defensively better as well. I'm going to put him at B tier. Obviously not perfect, but I do like the card decent enough. Ron Artest up next. I'm going to put Ron Artest in A tier. Defense good, but more importantly, his release is quick, easy to time, easy to green. Now, you guys might be like, really, Ty? But you're putting Jaylen Brown, Klay Thompson over Ron Artest. And that's where things get a little bit dicey for me, because I do not know if I'm taking Jaylen Brown over a Ron Artest card, so I'm going to do that for now. But I do think MJ and Klay are steady at S tier for right now. Scottie Pippen, S tier, no questions asked, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Scottie Pippen, so good at both the small forward or shooting guard position. It doesn't matter. The card is elite. T-Mac, Tracy McGrady. This one might surprise some people. He's S tier. I love me some T-Mac in my team. I do. And I know he gets a lot of hate, a lot of flack, because his release isn't on quick guard, this or that. T-Mac's 6'8". He can go out there and compete at the highest level. Vince Carter up next, A tier, no questions asked. Not necessarily the best shooting guard in the game. Obviously, I wish his release was on quick, but he still does enough for me to go at A tier. Zach LaVine's an interesting one. I gotta put him at A tier. He's an A tier shooting guard, but I just don't love the card. He's undersized. His defense isn't great. I wish I could put him at S tier. I just absolutely can't. Last, certainly not least, Wesley Person. Might surprise some people. I feel like he's honestly B tier. His release is mid. It's mid. His dribbling is horrible. I'm putting Wesley Person in B tier. You guys can clown me in the comments for that, but I do not think the card is what people are hoping it would be. If I had to move one person down to F tier, I'm just going to do it. Michael Red Drazen. They're broken. Unusable. That's going to wrap it up for our video, guys. Drop a like on it. Subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.